What is personal branding? Obviously, you know what branding is when it comes to businesses, right? The big flashy logos, the color schemes. You probably wear certain labels and you recognize the brands, or you go to certain businesses and you recognize their branding. But what about you? Because you are a talking, walking brand as well. So let's talk about your personal brand and how you can turn your brand into something that gets you amazing dream job offers. And this is so important because times are not what they used to be, where the way to get a good job is you go online, you scroll the job boards, you apply to a vacancy, and you send your CV, and if your experience is the best experience, they give you the job. No, everyone is upgrading their branding, and if you don't upgrade yours, you're going to get left behind. Unless you don't really care what job you get, like any old job, whatever, fine. But if you want a dream job, if you want one of the best jobs, then there's too much competition to ignore your brand. Plus, don't forget that you are a brand regardless of if you decide to do anything about it. So if you go, I don't care about the branding stuff, I'm not into that flashy whatever, I don't care. Well, you have a brand regardless, so you might as well take control of it and make sure it's saying what you want it to say. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, I'm Dahlia, in case you're new here, and what I do on this channel is I show you how to upgrade your career to land a job that you love that's also high paid. And I have an 8-week program that I walk my clients through where we get them those dream job offers, and a lot of the process involves rebranding them for the new economy. So I'm going to break down exactly how you can steal these methods to do it for yourself. By the way, these are also the methods that I use in my own career. So I'm also a communication specialist, and over the last 12 years, I've landed something like more than 24 different job offers. And the way that I get those is generally not through going and applying online, but it's through my brand, so that I have employers reaching out to me, offering me positions. And that's exactly the experience I want you to be able to have as well. Okay, so let's dive in. So what exactly is a personal brand? Why is it so important? A personal brand is that unique combination of skills and experiences that make you who you are. What's unique about you? What sets you apart? And it's really your reputation. What are people saying about you in the room when you're not there, as Jeff Bezos says? So your brand is a great way to showcase that competitive advantage that you have, which is so important in the current job landscape, with all those other people competing for the best jobs. And when people both see and feeling is very important, because your brand is also the feeling you give people, even beyond words, like that underlying feeling they get about you. And when people feel that you are the absolute best person for the job, they just want you, then you eliminate the competition. They start comparing you to other candidates, and they just want you. It's not because they've looked at every bullet point of your experience and they've gone, yep, Dahlia, she has the best experience based on these bullet points. No, they're not even comparing you, right? And that's what you want. You want to stop being compared to other people and have people just go, okay, this is the vibe we want. This is the brand we want. This is who we want. Let's bring them in. And again, I know if you're sitting there going, yeah, well, that doesn't sound very fair, or that doesn't sound very, very logical. Well, there's a lot of parts about the job hunting process that are logical. Obviously, yes, your experience matters and all of those concrete things matter, but a lot of it is not purely analytical, and a lot of it is not mathematical. Another myth is that people think your brand is your LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a great branding tool, but it is not your brand, right? Like I just said before, your brand goes beyond your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one tool, just like your CV is a tool, your cover letter is a tool, and how you come across in person is also part of one of the ways in which you can get your brand across. All right, without further ado, let's look at how you can have those elements that create a great personal brand. The first thing is to make sure you have a unique selling proposition. USP, as everyone likes to call it. So think about what makes you unique. I have a client, she has a hearing disability. You know what? Forget about disability. That makes her unique. That's something different about her. How can she use that to actually make it a part of her brand. And this is kind of a hack. A lot of times, if you have a perceived weakness, you can turn that weakness into your unique selling point and into your brand. And it's a way of taking power back over one of your weaknesses or even a disability that you might have. But you don't need, obviously, to build your brand around a weakness or a disability. It can be about that superpower that you have, that one thing that you feel you do better than anyone else. But just have a think about, what is it that sets you apart? Maybe it's a unique experience that you've had. Maybe you're changing into a new industry, and so you have this industry knowledge from elsewhere that nobody else is going to have because they all have the same old experience in that sector. Whatever it might be, have a think about what that unique selling proposition is for you. And please don't get lost in those cliche buzzwords of, I have 10 years experience, or I have a go-getter attitude. It's too cliche, it's not unique, and your employer's inbox is already saturated with those types of candidates. So find something original. Probably the most original thing that you can use is actually the truth. And it's something specific and truthful versus all of these kind of cliche things that don't mean much. Once you have your unique selling proposition, you want to be updating your bio and your CV. So think about your experiences, eliminate anything that's a bit boring, that doesn't set you apart, and just update everything to really focus on your new brand and make sure all of your achievements, your experience, they support that new brand that you're trying to get across. I did this recently with one of my clients who was actually aiming to become an astronaut. So he is an electrical engineer and he has this very specific technical experience, but for the position of astronaut that he wanted to get into, it required a lot of teamwork, leadership skills, people skills, and the way he was telling his story was very technical and wasn't humanizing him enough. So we really needed to build a brand new story for him, emphasizing his passion since a young age for space, since his birthday is synchronized with the day of the cosmonaut in Poland. And then we had to talk about all of his experiences leading teams, climbing mountains, bring in some of his personal life so it wasn't just about work, talk about the hikes that he goes on, the sailing experience that he has, to really humanize him and make him the right fit for the job. That's one example of branding. Oftentimes it can help to go beyond pure work-related duties, which don't humanize you and can make you look a little bit boring in the eyes of recruiters, and tell a more interesting story. Now, the next thing to do once you have all of that down is to start updating your social media. That's such a great opportunity to get your story out there, because you can have the perfect CV, you can have the perfect bio written up, but if nobody sees it, then doesn't really make much of a difference, does it? And social media is a great way to make your story easily accessible to all kinds of other people. Plus, it's a way to start having employers or recruiters reach out to you without you even having had to apply to anything. From now on, when you post to social media, think about how your posts are backing up your story and your mission, and how everything is tying together to really showcase who you are. So this includes everything from the images that you post to when you talk about your work. On LinkedIn, obviously a lot of people are posting some obnoxious stuff like thrilled to have had the opportunity to collab with. And, there are ways to post that are actually a lot more authentic and a lot more interesting than just saying thrilled to have had the opportunity. You can really tell your story, explain what you're doing, explain some interesting detail about your day-to-day, or about your mission, or about the way that you think, the way that you see the world, about something unique about you that is going to be really interesting to the people who are following you. And I had this happen to another client of mine recently, because previously she didn't really like to post that much on social media, and she had an Instagram account, but it was all closed just for her close friends and all that. And then I told her to at least start posting a little bit more of the work experiences that she was having. She found a way to post, a couple of pictures. Here I am in the newsroom, here I am at the office, etc. And a lot of her followers, even though she hadn't talked to them for many years, they were paying attention. And eventually she had quite a few reach out to her saying, oh wow, I've seen the great work that you're doing. I wonder if you'd be interested in. And recently she got a job lead for something that is right up her alley. He's going to give her a ton of money and flexibility and allow her to do an interesting project on her terms. And that's the kind of project that she never would have found on any job board. It's purely from one of her contacts following her, seeing her continuously upgrade her branding, and then be interested in reaching out. And I've seen this even from some of my clients. They've been rejected previously by employers, and then once they start upgrading their branding, it's almost like, it's almost like after a breakup and you start posting like nice pictures of yourself, and then your ex comes back and goes, oh, now you look interesting again. And the same thing can happen with employers, where they go, oh, wow, we should never have ignored that person's application. They look pretty interesting. And I have another client, John, who recently that happened to him, where he'd applied to one place like 2 or 3 times. And once he upgraded his branding, guess who was reaching back out to say, hey, want to come back in for an interview, even though we've been rejecting your previous applications over and over again, and offered him the job. But then he had, another employer, an even better one, who was by then reaching out to him, and he was able to be the one turning them down because he had a better offer on the table. That is the power of branding, and it can be intimidating sometimes to get started, I think, because it requires, number one, the self-reflection, but number two, it's putting yourself out there. People don't like having to sell themselves. And I completely agree with you. I just want to share a little personal story, because if you're worried about personal branding, like it's something that just feels icky to you, I just want to say I've been there too, okay? I'm an introvert. I hate speaking up, putting myself out there, all that kind of thing. But where I used to, now I actually love it, because again, it's baby steps. Once you start the process, and once you see all the amazing opportunities that are out there, once you start doing this, then you realize, wow, what a missed opportunity to hide in the shadows and not do it. Plus, at the end of the day, it's not so much about you. I know it's all about personal branding. Of course, it's about you, but it's also about what's the impact you're bringing to the world? What are you all about? What are the things that you're passionate and excited about? And so it doesn't really need to be all about you. It's also about everything that you're interested in. And if you can talk about those things, that passion that you display is going to actually become your brand. You don't necessarily need to talk about yourself. Good branding is definitely not showing off or saying, I'm so amazing all the time. It's really showing what you're interested in, your passion for things, your results. And the better your branding, the less you're really selling yourself. It shouldn't have that selling yourself feeling. It should have more of that feeling of wanting to connect with other people and just be passionate about the thing that you're up to in the world. And if you do that right, you're going to have an amazing personal brand that's going to magnetize the most amazing dream job opportunities. I can guarantee you that. So if you want to know more about upgrading your brand in the new economy, obviously there's only so much I can go on about in this short video, but I do have a free training for you. I'll put the link below. It's all about how to become a high-value professional in the new economy. I'll put that link in the description box. And meanwhile, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about personal branding? Is this something sort of still icky sounding to you? Or do you feel like you have a pretty good personal brand already? I'd love to know your experience. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for sitting through it. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you subscribe so you can get the next career tips coming from this channel. See you later.